to see you again. So, what I want to do is talk to you today about self reliance. And what do I mean about that? Well, self reliance in my day was something that you were taught because your parents would teach you things like how to repair things, where to go to do that, kind of materials you might need, that sort of thing. Um, and when it came to other things, for example, let's say your parents weren't really good at certain things and they thought you should be taught, but they didn't have the skills. What they would do is send you to an organization as, as a volunteer, um, and you would learn things. You become part of a group. You'd have fun with other kids your age. And there were all kinds of organizations in those days that actually catered to kids having fun and that kind of thing. But the fun translated into learning things as well. So it wasn't just things like Cubs and Scouts, although and guides and brownies and that sort of thing. I did, join that organization, and I've always valued what I learned from it. I mean, you might say, oh, well, what are you going to do with learning how to start a fire? Well, if you like camping, which I do, it's a good skill to have. And if the power ever goes off, I know what to do if I'm trying to cook a meal or something. So the thing is, though, there are skills that you can learn along the way that, as I say, even if your parents didn't have them, they could send you to organizations to learn them. And in this day and age, I don't see a lot of people who have those skills. So I'm thinking that it's a good idea for anyone to learn a few things to help you out. Like, let's talk about emergencies, for example. It's not like it's something that happens on a regular basis. So therefore, you don't have any uh, experience. And that means you might need to get some kind of learning about that so that you can help yourself. That's part of self-reliance. And there's other ways to look at this. I've always enjoyed the idea of fixing things. And there's a reason for that too. Sometimes you're not financially able to get the things you want, or you're trying to save money for other things and so forth. And it's a good idea not to be wasteful in general. So learning how to fix things is really important. And there's another aspect to this. If you happen to be a person like I am, where you're creative, this is where you learn what you can really do with things. And it's fun. You might have started out on a project and a purpose. You had a purpose in mind. And sometimes these things turn out differently than you figured. But along the way, you learned a few things and it was fun. So, and I think this is also an experience where quite often you end up collaborating. It can be a neighbor drops by and helps you out, or you end up phoning to get assistance about something because you're halfway through something and now you've run into a snag. There's always a way for people to help you out, even if you're so inclined and you're already, like I say, halfway there. You just need a little help. But self-reliance is, because it's not taught today, and if you didn't get it from your parents or maybe your teachers or something, then it's something you have to develop. Well, sometimes that can happen because, like the courses you take in higher education and whatnot are more geared towards what you like or the things that you like to do, that sort of thing. And maybe you get an aspiration for something that's not career-wise. Maybe it's just something you want to find out. But there's all kinds of reasons that self-reliance can help you. Um, can you rely on yourself, for example, to do research? Or do you have to use an AI? Can you rely on yourself to cook meals, or and to do it effectively so that you actually have a budget and can follow it? Things like that. It Self-reliance is a gift, because once you have it, there's all kinds of ways you can expand on it. And it's quite amazing where it ends up. I have enjoyed my entire life being self-reliant. That's why I think I've had a garden all my life. Uh, the idea that you can grow something from a small seed and and actually watch it mature and then know what to do with it to preserve it and then to cook it, and to make it taste good. That's self-reliance in its greatest form, because it's something you know how to do and it's serving your life. So there are all kinds of things you can learn to be self-reliant. And it's not like you have to take on everything. You don't have to know how to do absolutely everything. Thank goodness. But let's face it, uh, it's not always the case that you can just get somebody to do something when you need it. Um, so the very best maybe you can do is to at least try some of the things that might work. And once you've exhausted all of those, then you can say to yourself, well, maybe now I need to get some help, and sometimes that means somebody will volunteer to help you out. Sometimes it means that you might have to forego a few dollars to do it. And I think you sort of have to weigh that, figure out if it's worth your time and attention and your dollars, you know. But self-reliance is well, for example, I can remember my mom and dad always sending us to different groups for different things, to help us to learn. Some of them were just seemed to be fun. For example, when we were kids, I went to a rock and gem place in the city where we were living with my brothers, and we learned lapidary. We learned how to make jewelry out of rocks and stones and how to cut them, how to put them into settings. So, of course, the parents and anybody that we cared about for birthdays and whatnot, they knew what they were going to get because we had this new skill. Um, it was something that was brought about because we had a curiosity about science and things like that. Um, but also it was a hobby that you could actually turn into something. You could use it in the future, like when, if you wanted to make extra money and that kind of thing. So that's the way I think my parents were kind of looking at it. But we also took other things, like, for example, like I mentioned, in scouting, there's all kinds of pioneer type things that they teach you that are really quite fascinating and helpful. Um, and especially things like learning how to navigate, like you never get lost. You're looking for features in your atmosphere, where you are, your environment. So you never really worry about things like that, like getting lost, or you learn how you can figure things out, you know? And I think that's something too that people don't always figure on. Like they don't have the curiosity to delve into why something happens or what makes it tick. Um, but that again is part of self-reliance. And because we're studying here things about happiness, I think you could be a lot happier knowing that you're able to do things. You're not challenged because you're afraid or because you're unsure or whatever. You have confidence. Uh, and confidence is never goes out of style. As long as you have it, you can do just about anything. And imagine relying on yourself and knowing that you can do it. Now, when I initially grew up, um, a lot of those organizations that I went to were very helpful for me because I didn't have a very good image of myself. I felt like I didn't have a lot of support. And so it took me a while to adjust and to figure out who I am. But as I went along, I relied on those things I learned in those organizations, and I found out I was quite skilled. And I could do a lot of things I didn't think I could. And every time you think that there's going to be an issue in life, and there's a lot of those things that come up, just knowing that somehow this will work out because you can rely on yourself, that alone is worth an awful lot. And of course, as you know, I've talked about this before. I believe in the universe, and I've discovered that that also is helping me. But that's another area that maybe a lot of people don't understand. That what comes first is understanding that you're capable. And so I want all those people out there who think that they have to rely on somebody else to get something done, or they just don't think they're capable, to understand that you can do anything you want. You just need to believe in yourself, first of all, and to have the right tools and to have the information to work on that. And so that's something that occurred to me today. And please excuse my shirt and whatnot. I've been out in the garden for the last month. In fact, time kind of slipped by me. I think this video is a little late. But it was important to me to get this out to you because the idea occurred to me. Like what would I do if I couldn't garden like that? If I couldn't bring in, you know, those veggies and whatnot. I don't live on um, a lot of money. In fact, things are pretty tight. But I know that I can grow things, and I delve even further, like as to what the ground is growing. Like all on its own. What can I use that for? What is it good for? So I delve into just about everything around me. It's important to me to have a clean environment, to understand what's around me, and to be healthy. That's part of my happiness. But this self-reliance thing is definitely something you should look into. I just know that these days that because people are into technology and whatnot, they're not doing things hands on. And as a result, once they pull away from the internet and something in the real world needs doing, they can't do it. Oh, they'll look it up, you know. and they'll find out how to do it. But that knowledge that goes with doing different things and knowing that you can do it has to be there to help you to get it finished and to direct you as to where to look. Like within time, after you've done several of these things, you recognize where to start and what you need and that kind of thing. You might get frustrated the first few times you try things. And the thing is, it's the journey. It always has been the journey. So everything you do takes a little time. And in that time, you learn a lot and you make friends and new things happen and it's part of your life. Enjoy that aspect of it. So I'm just saying this is something I would like to pass on, and I hope that you understand how important it really is. Now you take care of yourself, and I will drop in again soon. Thank you for coming by, and please, um, I would appreciate it if you'd sign up for my channel, and if you would keep watching. I'm enjoying doing these, and I kind of decide on them as they come to me. So I hope they're helpful. That was the whole idea. Okay, you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.